Today we are talking about our cheat sheet, the American restaurant cheat sheet. And actually, the cheat sheet weeks are my favorite weeks because I think that this is really some of the most useful English you can learn, where you're going into a real travel situation and learning all the phrases that you hopefully will need in that travel situation. So, the American restaurant cheat sheet, it's the type of restaurant where you go and you check in at a hostess stand, and then you sit down and you get table service. And we say table service, meaning that there's a waiter that comes to your table, they take your order. It's a more of a nice restaurant. Or the other type of restaurant is counter service. So counter service is where you just order at the counter, you get your food, and you don't have a waiter. So the process is different and the phrases are different. So this week we're talking about the sit-down table service. And hi, RJ, thank you so much for joining. I'm happy that you're here, and sorry again for the delays, but I think we're up and running now. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to jump into our cheat sheet, and I'll also say that for our next cheat sheet, which will be in a month from now, we haven't chosen the topic yet. So if there is some type of a topic, a useful travel situation that you think would be most useful for the cheat sheet, then let us know, and we might do a poll in the Cacao group chats. Okay, so let me go ahead and share. All right, can we all see the cheat sheet? So, the American restaurant cheat sheet. So the first thing you do is you check in at what we call the host stand, or the hostess is a woman, the host is a man. We call the host stand, where you go and check in. You let them know that you're there. So oftentimes the first thing they ask you, it's an easy one, do you have a reservation? But one problem with being in this situation is sometimes they say it so fast, right? They'll be like, do you have a reservation? Do you have a reservation? Or I can't even do it that quickly because I think I naturally speak a little more slowly and clearly. But one thing we did is in the audio guide that went along with this on YouTube, when I said it the first time at a kind of a normal speed and then tried to do it at a really fast speed so you could practice listening quickly. And then, of course, we have our answers here. So let's go through and practice together, and we'll do some exercises where I'll say what the worker would say, and then you can say along out loud with me what you would say to practice the English. So it's like a real life role play situation. Let's get started. So, do you have a reservation? And you can say, yes, we have a reservation under Ellen. Or just, we have a reservation under Ellen, and say your name. Or you can say no. If you don't have a reservation, you can say no, can we still get a table? So at a restaurant, when we say to get a table, it just means, is there a table available that we can get and sit down and have dinner? So something that we also say is, can we still get in, right? It's a little easier. You could just say, can we still get in? But can we still get a table is very clear that you want to sit down and eat dinner. So let's practice. Do you have a reservation? No. Can we still get a table? Or yes, we have a reservation under Ellen. So next, if you don't have a reservation, and so they don't know how many people you have, they might say, how many in your party? So a party at a restaurant means the total group of people that are with you. They call that your party. So if you come with 3 people, yourself and 2 friends, you have 3 people in your party. How many in your party? There's 4 of us. Or you can just say 4. There's 3 of us. And they might say it really fast. How many in your party? How many in your party? They might also say, sorry, we're full tonight. So sorry, we're full tonight, of course, means that you can't get in. Sorry, we're full tonight. And if you can get in, they might ask table or booth. And I'm not sure if the word in Korean is different than booth, but you know, the booth is where you sit against the wall, and a table is where you have chairs, like freestanding chairs. So if they say table or booth, you could say a booth would be great if you want a booth. Or table, please. Or you could switch it, right? So let's do a few different scenarios. Table or booth. A table would be great. Or a booth would be great. Or just table, please. Or just booth, please. All right. And then once they're seating you, they'll just say, right this way, please. Pretty easy. You've probably heard that one. Or they might say, hold on one moment. They do that a lot. Hold on one moment. Or they might say, so you've probably heard really casual terms like, oh, hold on a sec, wait right here. At a restaurant, if you're a customer, they're more likely to say, hold on one moment, please. And you can just say thank you, right? And then this is something they almost always say. When you're being seated, they'll let you know, they'll say, your server will be with you in a moment. So your server is a little more formal way to say your waiter or the worker at the restaurant. So your server will be with you in a moment. So what's interesting about server is that in the restaurant industry, people usually say server, but regular people like me, we say the waiter. But it's the same thing. But they'll say your server will be with you in a moment. And that's one where they say it so fast, so you might miss it. Your server will be with you in a moment. But you don't have to say anything, right? They're just telling you. So if you learn to recognize that, you'll be fine. And you can just say thank you and sit down. Okay, so let's say that you go and there's a wait. So this section is talking about how do you handle it if there's a wait? Because there's a few different options. So it's both English and the culture of eating at American restaurants. So they might just say there's a 30-minute wait. And you can say that's fine, we'll wait. Pretty easy. Or if you don't want to wait, you can just say we'll try somewhere else, thanks. So let's shadow that one. If the waiter says, or the host says, there's a 30-minute wait, repeat after me. You can respond, we'll try somewhere else, thanks. Okay. So here's another interesting thing. Culturally, and you probably know if you've traveled to the US, but oftentimes at a restaurant, they'll let you sit at the bar while you wait for a table. So that's pretty common, or sometimes they'll even let you eat at the bar if there's one or two people, because you'll be able to get in sooner, but you're sitting, up at an actual bar. But it's not a bad option if it's a really busy place. So they might say, you can sit at the bar while you wait. You can sit at the bar while you wait. Really fast. You can sit at the bar while you wait. And so if you want to, you can just say, great, we'll wait at the bar. Let's shadow that one. Repeat after me. Great, we'll wait at the bar. And then they would go back up here, right, and say, hold on a moment, please, or right this way, please, and they'll seat you at the bar. And then the bartender will usually take your order. The bartender is the person working behind the bar. All right. And so if you are waiting, though, and you're not waiting at the bar, they might ask, can I get a name and number? So tell them your name, and then if you have a phone number where they can usually text you, then you can provide that. So normally they would text you an update of your reservation, a text message. Can I get a name and number? And you can say, sure. The name is Ellen. My number is 555. Can I get a name and number? I've been asked before if in the US we use those little, I forgot what they're called. They're the things in Korea that shake. They're like the red lights and they shake. Some restaurants in the US do use those, but they're not as common these days. I think most places will send you a text message to your phone. And they'll tell you, we'll text you when your table is ready. We'll text you when your table's ready. can just say thank you. Pretty easy, right? As long as you can understand all the questions. So let's go through them fast. You can sit at the bar while you wait. Can I get a name and number? We'll text you when your table is ready. Awesome. And we have our cultural tips here, which I just shared some with you. Okay, so now when your waiter comes or your server, usually they say, "Hi, I'm Ellen and I'll be taking care of you today." "Hi, I'm Ellen and I'll be taking care of you today." Real fast like that. And you can just say, "Great, hi." We didn't even put it here because it's so easy. And usually they say first, "Can I start you off with something to drink?" They say this almost every time first. And because the culture is that usually we order drinks and then we order food. And the point is that you can drink while you read through the menu and decide what you want. It's a way to kind of like space out the meal and make it a little nicer. So they'll say, "Can I start you off with something to drink?" And you could say, "Just water for now." Maybe you don't know what you want to drink yet. You want to look at the drink menu. "Just water for now." And they'll start you off with water. Or you can order a drink. "I'd like a Coke, please." Okay. And they often ask as well, "Have you dined with us before?" Have you dined with us before? Have you eaten here before? So, and they usually word it like this: "Have you dined with us before?" And they want to know if you've been there, because if you say no, they can tell you how to order specifically at that restaurant if there's something unique. Or sometimes they want to share the specials, or they'll tell you like why the restaurant is famous. Usually they have some type of a prepared comment to tell you. So if you've never been to the restaurant, you can say, "No, this is our first time." "No, this is our first time." Repeat after me. Let's shadow. "No, this is our first time." Or you can say, "Yes, we've been here before." Easy ones, but let's get the pronunciation perfect. Repeat after me. "Yes, we've been here before." Great. And then they'll tell you whatever they're going to tell you, and usually you don't have to say anything. Perfect. And then once you order your drinks, they'll usually say, "I'll be right back with those drinks." "I'll be right back with those drinks." "Be right back with those drinks." And you can just say, "Great, thank you." So very easy, right? As long as you understand everything they're saying. So let's go through and say them really fast and see if you can listen and hear everything I say. "Hi, I'm Ellen and I'll be taking care of you today. Can I start you off with something to drink? Have you dined with us before? I'll be right back with those drinks." Did you get it? All right. I know you did. All right, so now you're ordering, and let's go through some common things that might come up when you're ordering. So usually they'll go back get the drinks, come back, bring them to your table, and you're looking at the menu at that point, right? So usually they say, "Do you need a few more minutes?" Meaning, "Are you ready now, or do you need a few more minutes?" And sometimes they'll say, going down to number 3 here, just, "Are you ready to order?" Do you need a few more minutes? Are you ready to order? And if you do need more time, you can just say, "We need a few more minutes, please." This actually sounds a lot more polite than if you say, "We need more time." "We need more time." It sounds like you're stressed, like, "We need more time." But if you just say, "We need a few more minutes, please," it sounds soft and polite. So let's practice that one. If they say, "Do you need a few more minutes?" Repeat after me. You say, "We need a few more minutes, please." Awesome. And they might also ask, "Can I answer any questions about the menu?" Can I answer any questions about the menu? Because maybe you want to change something, or you don't understand what some of the food is. So what's interesting as well is I think it's more common culturally in America to ask for something special or changed with your meal. right? Because lots of people have dietary restrictions. So you can ask if you don't want a sauce that comes with the dish. Or if you want them to change something a little, you can always ask and they'll say yes or no. And so sometimes you can ask when they ask, can I answer any questions about the menu? Let's say that you've never been to this place, you're overwhelmed by how many options there are. You can say, do you have any recommendations? And you probably already know this one. Do you have any recommendations? But let's say it fast. Repeat after me. Do you have any recommendations? That's where we get into the fast English. The do you have, we say it like, do you have? Do you have? Do you have any recommendations? It sounds very natural. And then, are you ready to order? Yes, we're ready. Simple and easy. Yes, we're ready. They also might ask, if it's a nice place, would you like to see the wine list? Because oftentimes wine, there's a separate menu. So you can say yes, please, or no, thank you. So covering this again with the no, thank you. So in English, if you say it's okay, which I know in the Korean language is more normal to say it's okay instead of no, but it's actually a little unclear in English. They might be confused if you mean yes or no. So it's completely okay to say no, thank you. It's perfectly polite. And then they might also ask, would you like to hear our specials? So the specials are any special things they have that they're only serving that day or at that time. And usually the specials are not on the regular menu. So it's like extra food that they'll tell you about. So you could say, yes, would love to. Or if you don't want to, you can be like, oh, no, thank you. Usually you say yes. I feel like people usually say yes to hearing the specials. Okay. So you're ordering and so it's switched now, right? This is the worker and this is you. You can say, I'll have the steak, please. I'll have the steak, please. So easy. And they might say, would you like anything else? Really fast. Would you like anything else? Can I get the steak? It's another common way we ask. Instead of just saying, can I have this? We say, can I get the whatever? Can I get the burger? Can I get the chicken? And for meat, they might say, how would you like that cooked? Right? Like rare, medium rare, well done. If it's meat, how do you like that cooked? And then you could say, I'd also like the chicken with the sauce on the side. So this is common in American restaurants because usually our sauces are very creamy, they're salty. So some people like to have the sauce on the side and they just put a little bit on themselves. So if you find American food to be salty and rich, you can always ask for the sauce on the side. It's very common. If you order something like a salad, and a lot of dishes come with a salad, they might say, what kind of dressing would you like? What kind of dressing would you like? And usually they have choices. So you could just ask like, well, what do you have? Or it might say it on the menu, and then they'll run down a whole list of options, right? Be like ranch, blue cheese, balsamic vinaigrette, whatever. Lots of options. And you can ask which sides come with that, because a lot of food you get one main dish and it'll come with like one or two sides, and then there's a side menu and you choose your sides. So you can ask which sides come with that, because some sides might already come automatically, and you can oftentimes change the side. So let's say it comes with French fries and you want a baked potato, you can say, can I substitute a baked potato for the fries? And usually they'll say yes. So anyway, and then they might say, would you like salad or fries with that? You might have an option. You can say salad, please, or can I substitute fries for a salad? So this substitute word is very helpful Because if you want to change anything, you can say, can I substitute this for this? You want salad instead of French fries. Can I substitute a salad for the fries? And oftentimes at the end, when they finish taking your order, they'll be like, great, well, I'll put that in. Great, I'll put that in. It means like they're putting your order into the kitchen. Great, I'll put that in. All right. And this is our last section here, which is good. And we're going to go 5 minutes over because we started late. So I think we're right on schedule. And so then when they're coming in, they'll say, how is everything? And you might respond, everything's great, thank you. So I'm going to fly through these a little bit because I think that most of the responses are easy. And the most important thing here is that these are things that they come by and they say them so fast. So it's hard to hear. So I want you to listen to me and try to hear them well. So, how is everything? They'll say, how's everything? How's everything? Is everything tasting okay? Is everything tasting okay? Is everything tasting okay? Can I get you anything else? Can I get you anything else? Can I get you anything else? Do you need anything? Do you need anything? Do you need anything? Are you still working on that? You still working on that? You're still working on that? So the first ones here are just general checking in, right? How is everything? Is everything tasting okay? Can I get you anything else? Do you need anything? These are all just saying, are you okay? Can I help you? This one is asking if you're finished eating. Are you still working on that? Because if you say yes, then they'll leave you alone. But if you say no, they'll take your plate away. Are you still working on that? And if you are, you can say, yes, I'm still working on it. That means you're still eating. But if not, you can just say, I'm finished, thank you, and then they'll take your plate. And they might also ask more directly, can I clear this plate? That means usually if you have an empty plate, they ask your permission before just taking it. They'll say, can I clear this plate? So you can say yes. All right. Load here. Okay. And getting into wrapping up. So also, it's very common in restaurant culture to take food away with you because the portions are so big. They bring you so much food. It is very normal to just eat a little bit and then take the rest home. And we say getting a box. So they'll ask, do you want a box for that? And usually they'll ask when they can tell that you have too much food. So you can say, yes, a box would be great. They might ask, room for dessert? Do you want to eat dessert? Room for dessert? If you don't want dessert, you can say, I'm stuffed, thank you. That's actually the most common response. I'm stuffed. It's like, oh, I'm so full. The food was so delicious. I can't eat anything else. It's kind of cute and polite. Oh, I'm stuffed. Like we could never have dessert. It's a polite way to say no. I'm stuffed. Or if you do want dessert, you could say, we'll look at the menu. Or they might also offer and say, would you like to see a dessert menu? You can say, we'll look at the menu. Maybe, or room for dessert. That if you say we'll look at the menu, it means we might not order, but we'll look. Or they might say coffee or dessert tonight. It's very common to have coffee after dinner. You can say, I'll take a decaf, thanks. Most restaurants will have decaf because a lot of people are caffeine sensitive. I'm a decaf drinker at night. All right. And our last section here, getting out of the restaurant and paying and everything. So at the end, usually they'll just say, are we all set? So that basically means, are we all set? Are you finished? Are you done? But it's polite because they don't want to rush you or make you stressed. But they're basically asking, are you ready to pay and leave? So you can say, yes, we're ready for the check. Or they might be a little more direct and say, are we ready for the check? And by we, that means you. Are we ready for the check? You can say yes. And if you want to split the bill, like different people are paying, you can say yes. Can we split the bill? And usually they will say yes. Sometimes they'll say, I'll be your cashier when ready. That means that you basically pay with them, right? Like you don't go to the front and pay, you pay at the table. And you can just say something basic like, everything was great, thank you. And they'll say, thanks for coming in. It was a pleasure serving you today. And you can just say something basic like, we had a great time. Now, if you don't already know, usually at restaurants, they'll bring like a bill to the table in a black case, and you leave your credit card in there, and then they take it with them, scan it, and then they come back and you write the amount and the tip on the receipt. So that's the process, and it sometimes confuses people who aren't used to it, but it's very secure and it's very normal. And at most sit-down restaurants, the culture is tipping 15 to 20%. So it makes eating out expensive. But it's our culture, unfortunately. I don't love it. I don't love tipping culture in America. So, and then maybe they'll say, we hope to see you again. You can just say, thanks so much. Have a good one. They might say, have a great night. Take care. You can say, we had a great time. A lot of useful phrases in here to just be polite and easy when leaving the restaurant. So, all right, thank you so much for practicing that with me. And so now let's go through our words of the day, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. So, first word of the day is nervous wreck. Now, a nervous wreck is when somebody is just out of control because they're so nervous. This one makes me laugh because when I was a kid, my mom used to say this. You know, when the kids were being loud and difficult, she would be like, oh, I'm a nervous wreck, like, because the kids were being loud. So it makes me laugh. So let's do our example sentences. With the wedding only a week away, Sarah is a complete nervous wreck. She's planning her wedding. She's so nervous. So let's shadow this one sentence. Repeat after me. With the wedding only a week away, Sarah is a complete nervous wreck. With the wedding only a week away, Sarah is a complete nervous wreck. Okay. Next is under the weather. So under the weather basically means feeling not like yourself. Usually it means feeling a little bit sick. It can also mean that you don't have full energy, but usually it's kind of a little bit sick. So like, sorry, I can't make it to dinner tonight. I've been feeling under the weather since this morning. Sorry, I can't make it to dinner tonight. I've been feeling under the weather since this morning. Next, we have bittersweet. So bittersweet, it really has two meanings, and the first one is much more common, the first meaning. And it kind of means that you feel happy but a little sad at the same time. And oftentimes we use it at the end of a nice experience, like you're graduating and you're happy to be over and move on to the next chapter, but you're sad because you'll miss your friends, right? It's bittersweet. Graduation day was a bittersweet experience. We were happy to finish, but sad to say goodbye to each other. So let's shadow just this first part because it's so long. So repeat after me. Graduation day was a bittersweet experience. Graduation day was a bittersweet experience. Awesome. And then the next meaning is This one's not very common, but it's a taste. It's like, it's a taste that we use a lot for something like chocolate, where it's sweet but a little bitter, like dark chocolate is. So I prefer the bittersweet flavor of dark chocolate over milk chocolate. Like milk chocolate is just sweet, dark chocolate's a little bittersweet. Okay, 2 more. So on cloud 9, this means so happy. I'm on cloud 9. It's a very cute kind of phrase, but you can use it in almost any situation. It can be formal or informal. So I've been on cloud 9 ever since I got the acceptance letter from my dream university. So they're going to their dream university. They're on cloud 9. They're so happy. She was on cloud 9 when he finally popped the question during dinner. So what does it mean to pop the question? It means to propose. So it means he asked her to marry him. He proposed. He popped the question. Pop the question is sort of a informal phrase for proposing. So let's shadow this one. Repeat after me. She was on cloud 9 when he finally popped the question during dinner. She was on cloud 9 when he finally popped the question during dinner. And last one, and then we'll wrap it up, is petrified. This was our word today, and it also has 2 meanings. The first one is much more common, and the first one just means so scared. It's basically like so scared you can't move, and it ties into the second meaning. So let me explain together. So the second meaning is usually like for wood, right? When wood, like from a tree, it's so old that it turns into stone. It's like it turns into stone. We call that petrified wood. And so to be petrified, like scared, the meaning comes from the other term, because it's like you're so scared, it's like you can't move, right? Like I'm petrified. It's almost like you're turning to stone, like you're petrified. But it doesn't mean that you actually, move like this. It's just, that's the feeling of it. It just means so scared. So I was absolutely petrified when we hit turbulence and the plane started shaking. Repeat after me. Let's shadow that one. I was absolutely petrified when we hit turbulence and the plane started shaking. All right, everyone. That is the end of our lesson today. We got through everything. I appreciate your patience that we had an issue with the sound again. We're going to try really hard to fix that next time. Sometimes it just is a little unpredictable and it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, it was so nice to have you all here today, and I'll see you next week. Have a great week, everyone.